Hey, welcome back to Nilly's Bonsai. Hope you're doing well. Not so much of a practical video today. Just want to kind of go over a certain topic, give you a few tips and tricks, share some results, and hopefully fill in some blanks. I've obviously covered this topic a few times on my channel, but I still get questions and a lot of comments, and maybe on this occasion it's quicker just to make a video and hopefully, like I say, fill in them blanks once and for all. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to show you a bench of plants, and they've all got something in common. Right, here is your bench of plants. We've got quite a mixed bag here. So you've got some beeches, juniper, elm, a dead one, just to make it more interesting for you. There's like a Catinus at the back and a ginkgo there. Now what have all these plants got in common? Maybe not the type of plant they are. Obviously it's a pre-recorded video, so I'm not going to get no answers back. I'll give you one big clue. It's hiding through the window there. They're all air layers. So all these plants here are successfully created via air layering. Some of them took quite a bit longer than others. But as you can see, there's a good selection of plants there and thicknesses, all achieved via air layering. Now obviously the beauty of air layering is you can obviously multiply maybe a rarer plant or an expensive plant, but you can also pick areas of movement and characteristics and actually acquire them at quite chunky stages, and therefore kind of skipping a few years. Although, you know, like you can see with this beech, there'll be scars and bits and bobs that obviously are a little bit undesirable for bonsai, but if you've cut a few corners, you know, you never get quite the same result. But that's not to say with time that, you know, some of these things can't be fixed up a little bit. This beech, however, you know, minus a few scars, it actually is a really nice piece. This was actually off of a weeping beech tree, so if you could imagine, if I just lay that down, that there was a branch coming off of the side there, and it was all hanging down. And I've obviously taken a layer and now planting it upright, and we have some fantastic movement. And because of the weeping growth naturally, I'm not having to wire any of this. It's just naturally kind of falling into place, and it has a really nice shape about it. So a few more years and a few more branches, and I think, you know, that'll be quite a cool plant. Next spring I'll probably clean up these wounds a little bit. Really with this one, beech, it is a slow air layer. That one took 3 years to get off of the plant, but to be fair, for how much work I put into it, you know, just making sure it's watered and wrapped up and, you know, not took any animal damage, not really a lot of work for you know, receiving a nice piece of material. Going through the table here a bit more, just at the back there, like I say, Catinus, another really easy one. The golden elm, ever so easy. Again with a standard elm there, another really quite a nice chunky part there. And that has a great nabiri, that one. Really nice root flare and great characteristics of the bark there already. So make a really nice small tree, I think, with time, that one. The junipers, again, ever so easy to air layer. I've had no issues with these. Even that chunky one at the back there, it did take a couple of years to get off comfortably, but again, no hassle. They actually sever from the plant really well as well. They don't, you know, require actually that many roots to survive. So one of the first things I had great success with on chunkier air layers was the junipers. And you can see here there's a smaller one, and look at all that new growth this year. Really good extension, really healthy, vigorous growing season this year. Another one at the back here. Gonna probably wire this one in spring actually, and start doing something with it. It's in that wood-fired brick mix that I've been trialing out as well, and the juniper seem to absolutely love that. So that's been quite a positive experiment this year. And there's another golden elm there. This time of year, not looking really much different from its cousin. If we just briefly move on to this dead one before we move on to another positive story. This was a blue cedar air layer, one that many of you find fascinating, and kind of a bit unsure whether they work or not. This particular variety of blue cedar, which I'll find the label for, I think it was Hortsman something, does seem to air layer okay. You know, I've probably took 5 layers of this, 3 of them took. Obviously this was the end result after a bad winter, but they did root, they grew fine the following year, potted up. It was just kind of my neglect and not, you know, taking it in over a really severe winter when it was still kind of a bit vulnerable. I had seen on a few Facebook sites, you know, folks were losing mature blue cedar bonsais over the last winter, so it doesn't really come as too much of a surprise to me that this succumbed to the bad weather. But we'll try again. I've got 3 of these to work previously, so there's no reason why we can't get more to go. And really it was just a bit of a personal goal, if you like, or challenge to air layer a blue cedar. You know, it's not a commercially viable option to graft them, you know, for the nursery guys, you know, to churn them out. I can understand the speed. For bonsai, it'd be nice to have one without graft and just to pick a little piece of movement that you wanted. You know, blue cedars aren't always the most available, well, available in the best format really for young bonsai. You know, normally they come with a degree of thickness already, they're kind of set in stone, they've got a graft. So it'd be nice to be able to air layer little sections of those to use. And that kind of brings us on to the next part of the video, just showing you kind of some results, and like I say, there's some more key pointers in having good success with air layers. So at the start of the year we did air layer these 2 cedars. This blue cedar is the original parent of my successful blue cedar air layers. You can see at the top here, that is where that dead one came from, the large leader section of this tree, and then the other ones were just offshoot branches. This one that we did in very early spring, late winter, hasn't shown any signs of rooting yet. You know, I wasn't expecting the blue ones to go this year. I did express that in the video, although it would have been nice if it did. We've had a fairly good summer, but although it's not rooted, look at the health of the plant. There's no differential to the top to the bottom there, so the layer has got the same health as the parent plant still. So I'm quite confident if we wrap that up and keep it moist but not soggy over winter, that will continue into spring, and you know, next year it's all to play for. The Himalayan cedar, on the other hand, taken at the same time, I'd certainly say go back and have a look at that video so you can see exactly what we did here and roughly the time of year. I'd put some movement into the top of this part just to, cause I knew that the air layer would take a little while, so I put some movement into it because I knew the plant itself wasn't going to bulk up loads the minute we took that ring bark off of there, so there was no chance of wire biting, but we can definitely set some movement in early. And while we wait for that, obviously the air layer was taking place, and in this short period of just the summer, this one has been successful. And you can see here now, there's not many sections of this moss ball now that hasn't got roots coming from it. So it's a little bit late on in the year to be severing this. I think in a previous life I probably would have cut this off, put it in moss and sat it on a cold windowsill at home, and it'd be absolutely fine. But we'll do things textbook and we'll wait till spring to cut that off. I've got a few to do, so we can maybe have a severing air layer video and sort of potting those up. But out of all the trickier ones to air layer, the cedars are probably one of the harder things. Kind of like pines, you know, people say not really possible, not worth getting involved in. If it's a personal kind of ambition of yours, you know, have a go if there's nothing to lose. You might take 3 years on the back burner kind of waiting for it, but you know, it's an achievement when it does work. So yeah, these 2 cedars here, like I say, that one be ready in spring, that one maybe be showing signs of roots by the end of next season. Real key things with these is get the actual layering done, the ring bark, as early on in the year as you can. I don't say even late winter would work fine for these, as long as they're protected from the elements. The moss wants to be just moist but not soggy. If these are soaking wet, you've got no hope with them whatsoever. You know, an elm or something might tolerate that, but these won't. You know, they'll fail. So really, just kind of a damp moss, well wrapped up, plenty of moss ball. You know, the bigger the better, really, and just time, and kind of leave the top foliage alone. Make sure there's a kind of dominant leader shoot on there. Use a rooting powder if you've got a higher strength hormone one. Here in the UK, it's very hard to get such products, but in America, you might be a little bit better equipped over there and have the availability. So I definitely recommend something for like conifers, or, you know, I don't know how they're rated in strength, but the higher the strength it seems to be when you read up on these things, for pines and cedars and things, the better. And you may well have success. So there's those there. Just going back over some of the easier things to air layer. Certainly the ginkgo there, no real problem at all. That can be achieved in one season, and quite a thickness there. Cotinus is literally a matter of months, even with a, you know, 1/2 inch thickness branch there, sort of a month, 2 months, and you'll be having a few little roots poke through. Won't be long before you can sever that one. The golden elm can be quite quick as well, along with the standard English elm there. Again, a couple of months, 3 months sort of time, and you'll be ready to cut off quite a decent sized piece of that. The junipers, again, all kind of achievable in one season, unless you go up to that sort of 2-3 inch thick piece at the back there that we've got. And other things that I've had really good results with, hibiscus, which I've got a little, this is probably just a seedling or a cutting one here, but hibiscus works really well from air layering. And obviously, although it's not an air layer that I've done, the yew as well. I've done one in a previous video. This one's a nursery stock tree that I've bent around into a bonsai shape. But again, fairly easy to air layer, really. Just keep the moss damp, not too wet, and yew seems to air layer really quite well. So one more success I'll show you just before we wrap this video up is this forsythia air layer that I've taken, and this really is a chunky monkey. It's probably about 4 or 5 inches thick, the main trunk on this. It was an unwanted plant in my parents' garden. It's probably about 30 years old, the main parent plant. Obviously forsythia is well known to be that bright yellow spring flowering shrub, but ever so chunky air layer this. It's a little bit unique in the fact that I did try and add flare, to the Nibiri area. I have done a video on this, so by all means flick through the channel and find the thumbnail that looks like the screen you're looking at now. And there's an interesting video on what we did with this one. This will be another one I sever in spring, along with that cedar air layer, so something to come back for. But yeah, really quite happy with this one. It is a chunky plant, like I say. I'm really looking forward to severing the top, just so I can really get on with the bottom now. It's had a year and a bit to recover, and I think it really is begging to be worked on now. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little clip. Like I say, I just wanted to kind of fill in a few blanks with the cedars really more than anything. I guess most of you are really quite familiar with air layering, but I do get a lot of questions about these cedar air layers, and I do feel like I put the facts in the video. It's about 3 years for the blue one. We've all learnt that we can do this one in a year now, the Himalayan cedar. I did think it'd take a little bit longer myself. Key points to take from this one really is with the cedar air layers, take them on as early as you possibly can. Just protect them from the weather. Don't let them get too wet. Pick a piece of growth with a nice vigorous shoot. You know, the higher up the plant towards the top of it, really, the more success rate. But I've got branches to layer off of this blue cedar here. Obviously, most of the vigor and energy is getting pumped towards the top there. But really, it's just perseverance and time. There isn't really any magic to what I've done with that cedar air layer. I just persevered with it and, you know, didn't give up with it. Again, like I say, it wouldn't be a commercially viable thing, but for the bonsai enthusiast and the, the plant loving horticulturalist, to be able to multiply something like that with a ball of moss is brilliant.